I'm going to have to put my glasses on and read this. This is kind of a hard to get bourbon. It's called Old Pepper, Finest Kentucky Old Straight Bourbon. And oak. What did I call it? Old. Yeah, it's not old. Well, it is kind of old.
Finest Kentucky oak.
Let me run that by you again. It's Old Pepper. This is the end of the day. We've been doing a bunch of stuff today. Old Pepper, Finest Kentucky Old Straight Bourbon.
Oak.
I'm even reading. I'm trying to read it right off the page. We still keep going. Coming to you virtually live from the Beer Whiskey Studios.
Used to be live.
Or used to be live, whichever. From the Beer Whiskey Studios, high atop Barley's Tap Room on Washington Street in downtown Greenville, South Carolina. I'm Russ Heaps, and welcome to this episode of It's Just Bourbon. And that's where we get a bourbon or a rye, or in some cases a mixture of bourbon and rye, and we sip them, we smell them, we get bits about them. We don't really know a whole heck of a lot about the distillery or distilling, but we kind of muddle our way through because we like to drink bourbon. And with me on this venture, on this
Likes
path,
to drink bourbon.
who also likes to drink bourbon, is my good buddy Big John Richards, and he is actually our beer whisperer here at Beer to Whiskey, but he's got a great palate, and we enjoy sipping things together, and so here he is. Today we're going to be talking about, this is a very, I'm going to have to put my glasses on and read this. This is kind of a hard to get bourbon. It's Old Pepper. This is the end of the day. We've been doing a bunch of stuff today. Old Pepper, Finest Kentucky Old Straight Bourbon.
Oak.
I'm even reading. I'm trying to read it right off the page. We still keep going. Old Pepper, Finest Kentucky Oak Straight Bourbon.
Yeah, it's easier if you think of it as Finest Kentucky oak.
Okay. Shh. So it's a single barrel bourbon, batch KO2 actually is what this bottle is. Proof is 102, ABV 51%. And what this means is after it's been aged normally,
There it is.
what they do is they put it in barrels where the staves, I'm going to take my glasses off, where the staves have been aged outside for 18 to 24 months instead of the usual 6 months that the staves are in most bourbons. So it's been aged in 6-month staves, and now it's aged again in 18 to 24 month stage. 18 to 24 months staves, aged staves.
This is just gonna get better from here,
Could you
you guys.
help me here?
This is gonna get
Could you help me
way
here?
better from here.
Could you help me here?
I would, except I have absolutely no idea what you're talking
Okay.
about, Russ.
Okay.
How do the staves get aged in bourbon before they're aged?
No.
Because a barrel is made of staves.
John. Okay. Let me start over. I'd be embarrassed if I wasn't, half in the bag.
Welcome to 4 o'clock in the afternoon.
Normally, when they create bourbon barrels, the wood, the staves that make those barrels are aged outside in the elements for 6 months.
So they take the barrels apart and age the staves?
No. The staves are aged before they put them together.
Okay.
And they put them together, they toast them, and they're, So this bourbon has been aged in that kind of a barrel, and then they age it a second time in a barrel where the staves have been exposed to the elements for 18 to 24 months, and they're heavily toasted, and they age them in that, and that creates this
Okay. So
oak, the special oak version of 1776.
normally the barrels are made out of wood that sat out in the rain for a short period of time.
6 months.
And then this has some that are normal barrels and barrels that sat out in the rain for 2 years.
They age in the
Before it was made into barrels.
6 month.
No, right. The barrels themselves, there's some that are normal that only sat out in the rain for 6 months.
Right.
Before they were made into barrels.
Right.
And then there are some barrels where they sat out in the rain for up to 2 years before
Right.
they were made into barrels.
Right, but
And this was aged in both kinds of barrels.
exactly.
Okay.
By
I'm
George,
with you.
I think you've got
I
it.
think I've got it.
I hope you've got it.
I could have danced all night.
I took sort of a circular route to get there.
This is what we do. Again, welcome to 4 o'clock in the afternoon.
Yeah, I blame it on a lot of drinking. So anyway, that's what this is. Now, we did a segment on the regular 1776 bourbon, which we both loved. You can look it up. It's back before we were doing high def stuff, so it's a little. It was like you were watching it through my eyes.
Incredibly high quality, but not as high quality as we're doing now.
Yes. The video was high quality. The content was high quality. The video was not. But in any event, I'm a big fan of.
I'm trying to help Russ out. Sometimes he just won't take my help.
But anyway, so we're big fans of 1776, and this. I mean, we're going to do a shout out on this one.
Does the 1776 call itself Old Pepper or James Pepper or just 1776?
That's called Pepper 1776.
Okay.
And it's all, and we're going to get into that once we start sipping that. John's going to read you
We got a story.
Yeah, there's a
story time for
if
you.
If you're gonna make
Uncle
bourbon,
Russ's story time.
Yeah, if you're gonna make a bourbon, you gotta have a story, which 99% of them, particularly the Kentucky bourbons, have. So,
And it only took us 15 minutes to get to the story.
yeah,
Let's try sipping this.
yes, I'm with you.
So,
Text Miss Lily.
boy, that's got some. I'm not even sure what to make out of that. It's like some sort of a custard almost, like a pudding, like cooked sugar, but cooked sugar with cream. And then
The extra oaking, the extra
Yeah.
thing is sort of lost on me.
well, the oak is going to impart some vanilla and some spice.
Exactly.
Pretty traditionally. And that may be the sort of creaminess, that sort of custardy thing that I'm smelling. And I make my own pudding. We've talked about this before. I've brought this up with a couple of these bourbons or whiskeys, that when you make pudding on the stove, if you're not careful, or sometimes even if you are careful, some of it burns to the bottom of the pan. And that is exactly what I smell out of a lot of these whiskeys, is that burned down pudding. Like if I make banana pudding, and that's what happens sometimes at the bottom, you get this fond. I think that's the right word. It's too late in the day. That's the burnt stuff on the bottom of the pan, and sometimes you want that, and sometimes you don't. But that sort of burnt, crystallized sugar cream is what I'm smelling on this right as I start. Oh man, the barrel's big on that. You taste the wood and the molasses. You really taste the wood on that. and the finish starts bringing in more of that vanilla, more of that real molasses and deeply caramelized sugar. Oh my goodness, this is a cigar waiting to happen.
It is.
Oh yeah, but you want to put, I think, probably a nice mild cigar with this, like a Macanudo that's just, clean and easy.
Yeah.
Oh, but that would be magic with this. 2 drops, just 2 drops.
Just 2 drops.
In this case, sometimes I feel like it changes the way it smells.
I'm smelling green apples.
In this case, I don't think it changed at all the way it smells.
I think it has brought down, and I kidded with green apples, but that's kind of what I'm getting out of this.
I think I'm smelling more straight up bread out of this when I put a little water in it, maybe. And I'm getting some of that, I'm weirdly getting some of that hairspray, acetone, ethylene, or ethanol off of it after I put the water in.
Why don't you read a little bit about what's happening?
We're almost going to have to turn this story into an entirely its own segment. I wanted to make sure we talked about this before we actually got into the story. I do, and especially after talking over it, I get some of that green apple.
Yeah, I am getting it big time on the nose.
Yeah, especially talking over it, I'm feeling that. And it's a little spicier after I put the water in. It opened up that and dropped some of the sweetness out of it, because I was really getting that big, rich vanilla sweetness out of the front end of that until I put that water in.
Yeah, there's a little more of that rye
Yeah.
spice in it now. But if you like rye, that's what you're shooting for.
And I suppose there's got to be some amount of rye
And
in that.
I'm
whiskey.
thinking this would be a wonderful old-fashioned
I agree.
bourbon.
I agree.
If you could find it. I don't know how accessible this is actually, but did we salute?
No, let's do that. You
Okay.
mentioned it and we didn't actually do it.
We didn't do it. I've got Ports, my fraternity brother, who has, if you go back
He's
and
been
look.
saluted
and-
many times.
Yeah, and plus he's been on the panel many times. But
That's it.
he was coming down to South Carolina from his home in Dayton, stopped off in Kentucky. I gave him marching orders that I wanted something special from 1776. This is what he brought me, and Ports, for that, we salute you.
All right, so we have this story, and it starts in 1780. Russ gave me this, and I'm gonna
10 minutes ago, I gave it to him. Well, 15 minutes ago.
Probably 20 minutes ago.
20
now.
minutes ago, because I don't know how long we've been on here, but
This is the story of the whole Pepper name, as near as I can tell. I thought it'd be fun to read through this story and let Russ throw in all of the history that's associated with all these names and where they went to and what they became.
I think we're probably into 20 minutes on this episode, but I think it was worth it.
I think you would. I don't know why you wouldn't turn this into its own episode. We did an episode tasting it, and then we did an episode telling the story.
I don't care. This is good.
Oh no, it's really nice, and it's gotten better and better the longer I've sipped it. And some of the sweetness is actually starting to build the longer I sip it. The more of that sort of vanilla and creamy sweetness that I was getting from the very beginning is coming out more and more as it lingers on my tongue.
It's lovely.
It's really nice.
So,
Go out and get some. Don't let us stop you.
if you can find it, buy it. So damn lucky. See you next time.